What is up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name is Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. It's time for a WIP and chat. WIP stands for work in progress, and hey, let me just be honest with you right now. I know my nails are jacked up, girl. You don't gotta talk about them. Look at them. Ugh. Look at that. They're so like grown out. I need to go get them done, but I'm broke. Okay, so stop talking about it. Anyways, let me go through my tools really quick while I start this whip and chat. For those who are new, welcome. What's up? For those who are coming back to see me, welcome back. You probably hear my AC on right now. It's hot up in this house. It is hot everywhere. Like, my brain is warm. I can't think straight. So if this is a mess, well, then I apologize in advance. And if you're new, then, well, you get to see the mess up close and immediately. Anyways, my tools that I'm using today are a pen from Diamond Pen Pal. This is their Satura pen. You can find them on Etsy, and there will be a link down in the description. In my single placer, I am using Ghost from Diamond Painting Daily, also over on Etsy. This is their symbol, but there'll be a link in the description if you're too lazy to go look. And I'm going to be using in my multi-placer Winter Dreams putty from Butterfly Effectwares because, oh my god, I'm dreaming of winter right now. It's, like I said, it's hot. The tray that I'm using is from Firefly. This is the Switch Mini Max. It's really cool. It's got a removable lid and a removable trash tray. I always take those out and set them to the side. And then it's got an open and close pour spout. This little hole right here is so you can put your diamond painting pen in there and it won't roll away on you. It's pretty cool. Anyways, these are my tarot cards. If you are new to the channel, at the end of all of my whip and chats, I read us a thought for the week. I've already shuffled them, so I'm going to set these aside. And then the diamond painting that I am currently working on is for my event going on right now, Gods and Goddesses 2025, and I am working on Summer Solstice. Seems perfect, don't you think? She is by Chris Bug, and she is 69.9 centimeters by 104 centimeters. Well, 104.8 centimeters. So she's basically a 70 by 105. She's a big one. And man, that color blocking was a killer. Anyways, how are you guys doing? Like I said, it has been hot. What did I just, oh, couldn't find my buddy. It is hot, like I said. It's hot outside. It's hot in my brain. It's hot everywhere. And the week, oh, that smells like peppermint. It's delicious. The week was kind of a blur and a mess. Like, I had to miss a bunch of live streams because we were having really bad storms, which I'll get into in just a little bit. But honestly, like, it was nuts. Well, okay, so it started out with, like, we had a random storm in the area. I'm, like, kind of trying to go back. So, like, Thursday I didn't do my live stream because there was just weather. We had, like, power surges. I knew I wasn't going to be able to keep my internet going, so I kind of just made it work, right? I was like, I'm just going to skip the live, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, then, later on in the week, it was either Thursday or Saturday. It was Thursday, I'm pretty sure, or Tuesday, whatever it was. One of the days of the week. Anyways, doesn't even matter. They all run together. Oh, no, the week started out with a medication issue, and I was sick because, long story short, the usual pharmacy that I go to, they didn't have my typical prescription, but they had like half milligrams of what I would normally take. So they were like, oh yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal, you know, just take 2 and you'll be fine. Which I thought, okay, that makes sense to me, right? You would think, just take 2 of whatever you would normally take and you'll be just fine. I forgot that really since I sobered up, because for those who are not aware, I was a pain pill addict, and I really messed up my stomach for taking any medications. Like, I can't even take a Tylenol nowadays without it making me really ill. And not because, like, I've done any damage, but because, like, the thought of it makes me really nauseous. And so, just my stomach gets really weird and sensitive about taking medications, but I didn't think anything of it. I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine. I'll take two, no big deal, whatever. Well, what ended up happening was, taking a drink. I took my medication, like, well, in half doses, and it took not very many hours, and I immediately started to feel sick. So I was like, and all of this just so I didn't have to go to Walgreens instead of my like local pharmacy. That's kind of a long story I won't get into, but I just didn't want to go to Walgreens. Well, within hours of taking my medication, I know something's off. I'm just feeling sick, and not necessarily like I wasn't actually getting sick, like I wasn't vomiting, sorry, but I was just really nauseated, okay? So I get a hold of my prescriber and I let them know, like, hey, this isn't gonna work out, because I was miserable. I was miserable that night. I was miserable all the next day. I called them 2 days later and I was like, listen, I'm gonna have to have you move my prescription to Walgreens. I'll take this other one back in, or whatever I've got to do to clear it with insurance, but I can't take the halves. So it all ended up working out okay, but yeah, for the start of the week, I was really nauseated. Got that figured out. Then we had storms. And it's June in Wisconsin, so like storms in June are not, or July, excuse me. It's June. Where am I, you guys? It's July in Wisconsin, and so storms are not unusual. It's kind of tornado season, what have you. Well, it started out like we were having some storms. I thought, okay, I'm going to cancel the other live because that was Thursday that I was nauseated. Well, then Saturday I had the live. Everything was okay. The following Tuesday, I ended up canceling because we were having really bad storms. Well, it seemed like everything was all right, whatever. Well, down the street from our house, a car hit a home. And I, like, okay, everybody is all right. So just clarify that. I mean, the house is a little bit damaged. The car was in really bad shape. I didn't see any ambulances or anything like that. I'm fairly certain everyone was all right and that everyone walked away from it. But what's weird about it is, like, this house is in the middle of the block. It's not like on a corner. It wasn't on a curve. So it's not like the person like hydroplaned and went into the house or whatever. I don't know what happened. What reason ended up causing this person to hit this other person's home, but it ended up messing up some power lines, and it took out power to our neighborhood. And so we were without power. It was several hours. Well, I'm in the house, it's nighttime. I'm in the house and I hear yelling outside because the house that got hit is like a block and a half this direction, but they're working on the power lines like right outside of my house because I live on a big 5 points, and the box or whatever that they needed to work on was right there. I hear yelling outside and I'm like, what is going on? So I go out to like stand on my back porch, which is enclosed. Nobody could see me standing there and being nosy or anything. So I'm like, what is the yelling? Well, this woman, she's like out on the street screaming at the power and light people that they need to get her air conditioner turned back on. That, she needs her air conditioner. Well, it was maybe 70 degrees outside at nighttime, mind you. And I'm thinking, like, what do you think they're doing, lady? Like, listen, Linda, I'm gonna need you to sit down. Like, I know you're all worried about the sweat on your thigh flaps, but like, you need to be, just calm it on down. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It was really nuts. I don't even know what the heck. But that was the storm on whatever day that was. But regardless, the following day, because we had storms for like 3 days in a row. Well, the following day after the car crash, Dustin and I decided, well, let's go out and take a walk. The weather looked bad, but it didn't look like awful. The sky was dark, but it had been dark all day. You know, nothing new, whatever. So we go on our usual walk, and our usual walk is, we have a bike trail right along the river. It's called the Ice Age Trail throughout the state of Wisconsin. And this goes like along our river, and it's a beautiful, like, concrete, you know, path. It's a bike trail, so it has like, has the middle lines so that, like, if you were riding bikes, you would have lanes, okay? There's bike lanes. And it's a walking path, and the area where we usually go is a spot for, like, dogs to be off leash. Sorry, I'm taking another drink. And Beans is over there scratching. I don't know if you can hear his jingling. But yeah, so it's a spot for people to go off leash and let your dogs loose, you know, whatever. It's technically like, dog park. That area is dog park. And we decide, okay, we're going to go where we usually go, which is about, we walk about 1.5 miles to 2 miles out, depending on the day. And then we come 1.5 miles to 2 miles back to the car. Well, the sky, like I said, was dark. It looked like it was gonna rain, but we were pretty sure we were gonna beat the rain just for our quick walk and then back to the car. Well, we're walking along, and as we're heading out toward the area where we usually turn around, all of a sudden, both of our phones start lighting up, going crazy. Tornado warning. And for those who are not familiar with tornadoes, the difference between a watch and a warning, because we were under a tornado watch until 11 p.m., which is pretty normal. Like, if it's just potentials, basically. Like, there's the potential in the area for there to be a tornado. Like, the conditions are ripe. It could happen. Well, a tornado warning means that a tornado has touched down, it has been spotted in your area or whatever, and that you, like, it could be coming toward you, right? So our phones light up tornado warning, and I start, you know, looking to see how far away the storm is from where we are. I find out that the tornado touched down about 7 miles from where we were, which is not far in the case of like a tornado, because they can move potentially at, you know, 100+ miles per hour. So we're like, oh crap. Okay, so we turned around immediately, and we're thinking like, we need to beat the storm back to the car. You know, the warnings tell you, like, take cover immediately. If you can't take cover, like, get in a ditch or whatever, but we're going to try and get to the car. So, mind you, like, Bowie, my border collie, she's a good listener. She keeps a steady pace, even though she's like 9 years old. She keeps a pretty steady pace. She doesn't sandbag. She doesn't mess around. Beans, on the other hand, like, he is a classic sandbagger. He moves at his pace, and you're not gonna get him moving any faster than he wants to move. So he's sandbagging, and meanwhile the sirens start going off. Always unsettling when you're out for a walk And the tornado sirens start up. Whee! Going off. And where we were on... Yep, I just did that. Where we were... I'm having a day. Clearly, you can see I'm having a day. At least most of them stayed on the plastic. Only one actually landed on the sticky part, so that was good. Okay, how many times do you drop your pen when you're working on your dime? I mean, because these suckers are heavy. Like, you heard it fall. It's heavy. Okay, so anyways, where we were on the river, the sirens are like right there. So they're blaring, they're loud. Bowie's like getting freaked out. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like loud sounds as it is. It's not her thing. We make popping sounds with our mouth, like we go, and she'll go lay down because she thinks she's in trouble, okay? So she's getting really anxious. Beans is just sandbagging and doesn't care. And we're trying to beat the storm back to the car. So I keep turning around and I keep looking behind us because that's the direction that the storm is coming from, which is west to east. It was going a weird direction for a storm. They don't usually go that way. But I keep turning around to check, and the sky is getting darker. And like typically you really, like, I don't know, Wisconsin is weird in that tornadoes, it's not like all of a sudden the sky turns black and then it's like anti-M and, you know, like it's a twista. Like what we usually see when there's tornadoes, or excuse me, when there are tornadoes, let me speak proper English here, is like a yellow, greeny, like soupy looking sky. Like it's a crazy looking color. It's not like it's getting dark. And so, you know, like the sky wasn't necessarily like soupy green or anything really weird looking. So I thought, well, maybe it's just going to be a storm. But the warnings were saying that like the tornado had like wind potentials at 80 miles per hour. The storm was definitely moving fast. Like you could see the clouds coming in. And as we're getting closer and closer to the car, I look behind us again, and you can see that there's this like this particular roll in the front of the cloud. Now, I'm going to be showing you pictures here in just a minute of what ended up being the storm. There may be some ones from when we were on the trail. If there are, I'll insert them here from when I like turned around and snapped pictures. But we're hoofing it now because it looked pretty potentially bad, very potentially bad. And if one touched down like 7 miles away, then yeah, you know, potentially it was gonna be really bad. So I'm messaging a friend on Discord and letting her know what's going on, and she's like, oh my god, get back to your car. I'm like, she lives in a place where tornadoes are not really a thing. And of course, which I'll talk about, there were the floods in Texas that had gone on. And so she's freaking out. She's like, you know, I'm watching all this stuff's going on. Like, please get back to the car, get home safe. Because once we got back to the car, we were really only a mile from home. So we finally make it back to the car, and we didn't even get rained on somehow before making it back to the car, which I did not think was going to happen. I thought for sure we were going to get dumped on. Well, we get back to the car and we're heading back to our house. And that's when I start snapping pictures. Because to get home, we had to basically, like, if the storm is coming in this way, we had to drive this way first in order to go that direction to get home. So, one, we were going like next to the storm front. If this is the storm front, we had to go next to it, and then we had to ride in front of it. So at one point, you know, I'm snapping pictures. The craziest thing is, like, one, it looked like being inside of a color out of place diamond painting. Okay, they've got like Rainbow Tornado, and they've got Try to Follow. They've got all of these different art pieces that look like just crazy storms, but with colors. And it felt like being inside of a color out of place painting. And one of these are my favorite picture because I didn't notice it when I took the picture. Like, I didn't set up the composition necessarily. I did notice that it was going on when I took the picture, so it wasn't totally on accident. But in this picture right here, you can see that the curve of the curb is following the curve of the storm, and it's just like the whole picture feels like it's a movement. I don't know, I liked it. It's one of my favorite pictures. I want to set it as my phone background because I just really enjoyed it. And the other thing that I have to say is, like, with these pictures, they do not give any sort of, like, they do no justice to how dark it actually was, because when we were walking, it was like 6:30, 7 p.m., something like that. It wasn't even dusk yet. It was still evening, right? There was still a lot of evening light. And when the storm rolled over us, it went from daytime to nighttime. I mean, it was nighttime dark when the storm rolled past. And we managed to pull into our driveway just as the rain was starting to kick up, like, pretty decently. We got a little wet. It wasn't like, we didn't get poured on. We made it in the house before it started pouring. But man, it was really wild. I haven't seen a storm like that in a while. So it was really, really cool. Oh, and thank you to those who checked in about, I had talked last week about how my mother-in-law's aunt and uncle were lost in the floods in Texas. The last time I did a WIP and chat, I believe I mentioned that they still had not found them yet. Maybe they had found her uncle, but not her aunt. They have both since been found, but not alive, unfortunately. But thank you to those who did check in and ask about that. My mother-in-law is pretty devastated, understandably. I believe that, as far as I'm aware, she has like one living older relative left. That was her father's sister. And actually, she was showing me some pictures of this aunt, because I guess her daughter did her niece, my mother-in-law's niece, did a TikTok video, like a remembrance, that's the word, of her parents. And looking at the pictures of her aunt, she looked a lot like her, and it was one of her favorite aunts, and it was really sad. But yeah, like I said, thank you to those who checked in and, sent condolences and things like that. I'm just very glad that they were able to locate both of them, and, they are able to be put to rest, because that's important. But yeah, so the one thing about all of these crazy storms is that it's really kicked up the amount of mushrooms everywhere. And I enjoy a good laugh. I like to be goofy. I like to be funny. I like to have a good time, and, with the best of them. Well, I just, like most people who are on Discord and end up on voice chat with me and whatever, know that in between diamond painting squares, I enjoy going for a walk around the block. Like, I go for a walk, I kind of stretch my legs, I don't sit and just stare at the diamond painting for hours because it's, it's bad for your back. It's bad for your body to just sit and kind of stagnate. So I go for walks. Well, it was time for me to get up and go for a walk. So I get myself together, whatever. And I always listen to either, like something on YouTube, or I'll listen to a show that I've listened to a bunch of times, whatever. So I always get my headphones on, chill out, whatever. Well, while I'm walking along, I notice that there's like all kinds of mushrooms sprouting up in the grass everywhere. And one set of mushrooms in particular stopped me in my tracks. And I'm telling you, here's a picture. This set of mushrooms should have had a bra. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I feel like I've taken a picture of something dirty here. Oh my goodness. Just a perfect pair of mushroom nipples. Well, a pair, more like a triplicate of mushroom nipples sitting in the grass, waiting for me to snap a picture. So hopefully you giggled as well. If you're offended by mushroom nipples, I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you with my mushroom nipples. Not my personal mushroom nipples, but, the mushroom nipples that belong to the grass. Mine are more... No, we're not going to get into describing what they look like. Anyways. Oh, my goodness. So, I needed to laugh anyways. I've had kind of a little bit of a rough week. I'm not going to lie, as far as... just, like, some people are aware of just some stuff going on, and it's been a week of really testing the limits of things. And I know I'm kind of speaking in sorry, I was trying to figure out where that line was. I'm kind of speaking in code, and I hate doing that. Like I don't generally speak in code around things. I like to be very open and honest about what I'm dealing with and what's going on. And there are times that, unfortunately, I can't be really specific about things I'm going through and whatnot. But I will share, at the very least, some, I guess I could call them like hard truths about friendship. Sure, we'll call it that. Not and not just hard truths about friendships, but like the realities of friendships, and how being diagnosed late with autism can really pose a challenge for friendships, okay? Because there's a lot to it. Let me start with, like, you can learn a little bit about me and my life, and get to know me some, because maybe these are things that you don't know about me, even if we've spoken before on Discord or whatever. I was born in 1980, the end of 1980. I'm a December baby. I was born December 2nd, 1980. And I was very much a product of my time, being born in the 80s. At the time, I was the youngest of 3 children when I was born. And my 2 older brothers came from my mom and my dad. They were married. My mom was young when she married my dad. she ended up, I believe, dropping out of high school to marry my dad because, well, according to her story, and I don't know if this is true or not, I've never been able to verify, she said that he wanted her to drop out of high school because he didn't want to date a high school girl. I don't know if that's true or not. Doesn't even matter. But I had two older brothers. They are 4 and 5 years older than me. And my dad was different. My dad was very different. He was incredibly, and I'm not speaking of him like he's dead. I'm just speaking of him like he doesn't exist to me, because he doesn't. I don't have a relationship with him. But he was very different. He did not hug us. He was not affectionate. I don't remember hearing "I love you" very often from my dad. And I thought it was because he was in the military. I'm a military brat. I was born in the States, but we moved to Germany when I was very young. And I thought his standoffishness and, like, not being affectionate was because he was a military guy. Like, he was a tough military guy, right? But now that I'm older and I know more, I believe that my father was autistic, which makes sense. I'm autistic. And I think even my mother also was autistic. My father probably would have been, it probably would have been diagnosed as Asperger's, but we don't call it that anymore. High functioning autism. Well, because I was military and because I was autistic, my two older brothers are not diagnosed, but probably should be, because both of them have autistic children. My oldest brother also has a son with high functioning autism, and my older brother has a son who is nonverbal, low functioning autistic. Well, because the three of us were autistic, probably autistic children, I think it's fairly safe to say, not only did we have difficulties with relationships because we were autistic, but then add to it that we were military children. And so we were constantly moving, constantly having to try and make new friendships and meet new people. And my older brother was very disruptive. He was the kind of, like, just would rip stuff up. He'd bang his head into things. He was constantly breaking bones. I mean, he was just always into it. You know, he was one of those kinds of kids, like the worst kind of troublemaker that you could have, and probably today would have been diagnosed with ADHD or autism or both, ADHD. And so, you know, we kind of kept to ourselves as friends, right? Because it was easiest. My oldest brother was very astute, very bookish, very, very standoffish, did not display affection often either. He was very much like our dad. I feel like, you know, he was kind of sort of like a spitting image of our dad in a lot of ways. And so being the only girl and having at least even a dad with autism, if not both parents, I spent a lot of time alone. And with my toys, I had very, very, very incredibly vivid and important relationships with my toys, and with this fantasy world I'd created for myself inside of books and comics and like you know, before Toy Story was ever a movie, I 100% believed that my toys were real and that they had feelings and that, you know, they had special names and they were incredibly important to me. And as a child, I fixated. I had very odd special interests. Like, you know, I might not have been able to tell you anything about, you know, normal little kid things, but I could recite all of the U.S. presidents in order, first, middle, and last names, and their birth dates, that sort of thing. And so, friendship friendship has never come easily to me, not ever in my life. So that all being said, that background, you know, shared with you, it's hard for me to trust people, for one, because I've been bullied a lot in my life. It's also why I'm so, why I find it so important to be inclusive of others, because scientifically it's been shown that exclusion feels to you mentally the same physical pain as being punched in your face. So I don't ever balk at friends. I take my relationships with friends very seriously when I do have them, because they come very rarely to me. I have incredible empathy for others. It's almost like I can't watch things where people get broken bones because I feel their physical pain. I don't like to watch things where people are embarrassed because I have very horrible anxiety about their embarrassment, and I get secondhand embarrassment from their situations. And so I hate to see others being treated cruelly. I try when I can to step up and stand up for my friends, because, or even not my friends, just people whom I'm acquainted with, because I know what that feels like. And not just because it's happened to me, but because I feel the physical pain or embarrassment or whatever of others when they're hurting. I feel it, like, actually. And so because I take these relationships so seriously, and so it's more than just a small thing to me. When I feel like I have hurt another person, it's incredibly like devastating to me. And I know that seems really melodramatic, and kind of it is. But I hate that feeling. I hate it. And so I don't know how to handle it sometimes when I am actually the one being hurt. I find it very easy to stand up for others, and this actually came up in a conversation this evening, and I hadn't even really thought about it, but I find it incredibly easy to stand up for others, but really, really hard to stand up for myself. Very rarely will I speak out for myself when I'm embarrassed or when someone has done something that hurts me. I cry very easily when I'm angry because I don't regulate my emotions well, which autism. And I often confuse situations because I don't know if it's me who's done something, or if I'm misreading something, or if I always take the blame because I probably feel like it's usually going to be my fault anyways, because I don't people very well. I can also really easily be taken advantage of for that reason. And it's really hard because I always trust others. I take what people say at face value, and I want to believe people. I want to believe the best in people because I think that we all have this great potential for ultimate good, right? And so sometimes I feel like some people take advantage of that, and it can be really easy to manipulate me or gaslight me because I take people at their word. And often when there's a problem or there's a fight or whatever, like, I will often, even if I don't necessarily believe that I'm in the wrong, I'll take the blame because, one, I want the fight to be over, and two, because I believe in some ways that maybe I really was wrong. I've had very few really close, important relationships in my life. And often they were short-lived because I moved, or because I misunderstood, or they misunderstood me, or what have you. I think generally my friendships didn't last very long because I didn't let them, also because I was always afraid of losing somebody for, either the reason that I would screw it up, or I was going to move anyway, or whatever. And I kind of gave up on the idea that I could have a longtime friend. Sorry, I needed a drink. And so I have learned a lot of lessons lately in regards to friendship and what it has looked like in the past, and what it should look like. And I've discovered that I get more and more scared of letting people in and telling them my story and being vulnerable, because oftentimes those are the things that people use to hurt me with. And I feel like that's happened recently. And I really, I wanna be a better human being all the way around. I wanna be caring, and I wanna be honest, and I wanna be open, and I wanna be vulnerable, and I wanna trust people, and I'm having a lot of my foundations rocked to the core. You know what I mean? I feel like a person who has the capability of real, lasting, and meaningful friendships. But I have to remember that not everyone that I meet or speak to or whatever has my best interest at heart. And that ultimately, even some people can play a role as though they're just looking out for my best interests, but maybe they're not. And I think that a lot of maintaining a friendship comes from knowing a person and knowing their intentions. And I feel like if you're friends with a person and you claim to be friends with a person, then you know what's at their core, and you know what their values are, and you know what their intentions are, and things like that. And I feel like maybe I've been misrepresented or whatever. I don't know. A lot of you have been here with me on this journey, this process that I've been going through. Like, I use my WIP in chats, not just to tell you guys about my goofy day or my mushroom nipples or whatever. Not my mushroom nipples, but the grass's mushroom nipples. Mushroom nipples. That's going to be my new nickname, I swear to God. But you guys are here. You're on this journey with me, and you get to know a lot of things about me if you listen and if you pay attention. And I feel like I've represented myself here, and as much as I can in the rest of the world, as a person who really truly wants the best for humanity, and that I care very much about equality, that I care very much about the way that I make other people feel, that my intentions are always good, and that my addiction is a journey, and that I'm always evolving. We're all always evolving and changing and growing. And I guess the reason that I bring all of these things up about friendship is something that, again, I've been really meditating on. I've really been trying to think on it. And if you're going through a hard time with a friend yourself right now, or you feel like you're alone and you don't really have friends, one, please join my Discord, because I will be your friend. For real, honestly. And two, if you're friends with someone and you keep getting into arguments, or there's these petty little stupid fights, or it just seems to be a constant misunderstanding between the two of you, and you can't seem to understand why they are not reading you. I was blaming my autism for a really long time. I was letting myself and my issues be the problem, and I don't think they're the problem. I really don't. I want them to be. I want them to be because that's easy. It's easier to blame myself. It's easier for you to blame yourself, to let you take the the blame, to let you be the problem. I don't think it's that. I think the problem is that if you're my friend, or if you claim to want to be my friend, then you claim to know what's in my heart. You claim, if you're my friend, to know me and my intentions and my values, what's at the core of me. You claim to know those things if you claim to be my friend. And when you make claims that are outside of that set of values about a person, when you point a finger at something that you know for a fact is outside that person's values, their core values, maybe the problem isn't autism. Maybe the problem isn't misunderstandings. Maybe the misunderstanding is that maybe you don't really know me, or I don't really know you, or they don't really know you, and there needs to be some introspection, you know? Because I have let myself blame my autism and my misunderstandings and whatnot. I've over and over again, I have made it that. It was me. I misunderstood. I didn't know. I didn't mean. But the fact is, I don't think it's that. I think that if what's being read is a full and total misunderstanding of my core values, then it might just be you don't know me at all, right? A person doesn't know me at all. And that's a different problem. And maybe it can be fixed, and maybe it can't be fixed. I can't be changed in the way that my autism isn't going to change, right? My values, my core values, what's really important to me, the equality of people, the fair treatment of others, the humanity that exists in all of us, like that can't go away. That can't be wiped clean. And so then it's no longer on me. Then there's something being misunderstood from somewhere else, right? I would think. Am I crazy? I don't know. My bit of advice, I guess, if you're going through something similar, is that if there continues to be issues and misunderstandings and little petty fights with a friend, with a loved one, with a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a throuple, I don't know, whatever kind of relationship you're in, but if that keeps happening, they keep misunderstanding you at your core, they keep poking at the things that they know you would never do, it's probable, it's most likely that they don't actually know you at all. Or they refuse to. That's possible too. But I am ready to read a tarot card because I have a feeling out of all of the stuff that I've been talking about, something is going to come up in this card that's going to give me some guidance because I could use it this week. But I feel vindicated because I am not accepting total blame this time. And normally I would let myself do that. I'm not doing that. So maybe we'll see. Maybe the card will say, hey, you're exactly right. You're on the right path. Maybe it'll say you're on the wrong path. Turn the hell around. I don't know. Let's find out. Shall we find out together? All right. I've already shuffled. These are already in the correct order. They're ready to go. So let's find out what it is. I'm going to take a drink first, though. Okay. Our card is the Singer of Courage. Okay. The Singer of Courage. The Singer of Courage says, and it's right side up. The key words are bravery, sublimation of fear, and moral strength. And I'm going to read the whole thing because it seems pertinent. Someone once said that courage is not the absence of fear, but that which enables us to experience fear and not be stopped by it. It is also what enables us to do what we believe to be right, even when there is pressure from others around us to do otherwise. It is what enables us to go ahead into the unknown or the perilous, where there are no guarantees of safety or security. In our lives, we are often, even constantly, confronted with a new world, a new way of being in the world, a new way of seeing and of being seen. Ordinary living takes courage, and to rise above the ordinary into the extraordinary takes even more courage. One of the keys to courage is to consider the fear and find a way to let the energy of the fear itself power the action. That is true courage. Often people think of courage as being part of high heroism. It is, but it also has its quiet, hidden side as well, and that may require greater courage because we cannot expect the rewards of praise and approval for it. For example, no courage is needed to be unhappy and self-pitying. We do not need to be self-disciplined or wise for that. However, to open our hearts to the risks and vulnerability of joy and trust requires all of those things, especially courage. Within each of us, there is the terrified inner mouse and there is the brave inner hero. Either part of us can take over from the other. We get to choose which is in charge. The mouse is a magician with only one trick. It can cast an illusion that is as big as an elephant. Then fear nearly overwhelms us, but we still have choice. Learning to live with and manage the reactive animal within involves transforming emotions like rage and fear into courage through self-discipline and the help of the Singer of Courage. Most people have decided by the age of 3 or 4 what they must do in order to survive. From this decision, this belief about how the world is, most of our fears and self-limitations grow. Wow, yeah. Have we the courage to discover and break through these limiting beliefs, awaken to greater possibilities, and go for our objectives? We need to transcend our fears and accept the gift of courage. I needed to hear that today. I don't know about you, but I really needed to hear that today. Because courageousness is not always loud and in your face and exacting. Courage sometimes is small. It's quiet. It's in a quiet confidence. And courage sometimes is an acceptance too. Because sometimes we don't have the courage to accept what is. We sit and we long for and we dream of a better future or a better outcome or a better whatever, but we're not willing to accept defeat and will 100% keep something that isn't working continuing just because we're afraid of the new. And I don't want to be afraid of the new anymore. I did really build a narrative for myself from a very young age that I was wrong, that I was born wrong, I was built wrong, I'm wrong, I'm different. And then I started using things to cover that feeling up and to make that feeling go away. Sorry, that just hit me really, really hard. I did a lot of things to make that feeling go away, that wrong feeling. And sometimes it's about accepting oneself. It's about accepting kindness from others when it's granted. And it's about moving on even when it's hard. And maybe it's not all doom and gloom. Maybe things are going to be fine. Maybe things will be okay, and I'll be seen. I'll be really seen, and you will too. But I hope that wherever you are right now, that you're deciding for yourself, for your sanity, to be brave, be courageous, and accept yourself. It's what you need. It's what I need. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not going to do my usual sign off. I think that's enough. I think that's good. That'll do, pig. That'll do. But what I will say is I've learned a lot today. I hope you have too. And I'm going to see you again next week for another Whip and Chat. I'm going to go have a good cry. That hit me real hard, but much love to you guys. And seriously, you're never alone. You're never alone. All right. See you guys next time. Bye.